In this video, we're going to start modeling the top of the head. Now you can see I've already put the bottom jaw onto a layer and referenced it. So I'm going to start with a cube, and I'll move it into position, scale it a little bit, and I'm going to only do one side of the head first. So I'm going to just move it off over here to one side and just start off with kind of the inner loop of the cube. So once I get this scale to where I think it'll be all right for it, I'll begin to select the face. So I'm going to get the top face of the cube, and then I will go ahead and do my extrude. I'm going to bring it up a little bit and just kind of use my references again. And I'm going to hit G. G will perform the last function, so it'll do another extrude. G is just a good shortcut, so you don't have to keep going up to the menu. So I'm just clicking G and extruding, and I'm going to pull it all the way over here. And you can see here I'm just scaling it up, and I'm going to move it right to the center line of the grid. So now I have kind of this outer loop here forming for the back of the head. Okay, I'm going to select the faces that are on the front side here and delete them. And I'm going to right click, select edge, select these edges here, and go to extrude and extrude them out. This will be the back wall or the inside wall of the head. So I just want to kind of position them. Again, check out all your views to make sure they're positioned correctly. I'm going to scale them in, make sure that they're going right to the center of the grid. You can use the X key to help you snap to grid. So with X held down, using your move tool, you can position and snap. Let me first cut in another loop just so I can make sure this is a quad coming in. I'm going to get rid of that face since that's going to be attached to the other side. We don't want to have inner faces. So I get rid of that face that was inside. I'm going to append to close that wall in. So that'll be the inner wall. Okay, next I'll go around, select the edges here, and do an extrude, and bring that edge right out. This is kind of the side of the face. Same thing over here. So let's go back and do all of these edges here. Make sure I get all of them, and then we'll do an extrude and bring all of these out. Bring it down a little bit. Select vertices, start bringing it down. Again, we want to make sure we're using our reference images. Select the edges on the front, and again, put my references on. Do another extrude. Extrude these edges out. Select vertices and shape. So bring this all the way down. Kind of get the shape of the front of the nose. Bring this in a bit, because if we look at our top view, we know that the shape comes in. Same thing over here, bring it in a little bit. Shape these vertices, bring them down. Let's go in and insert an edge loop. So I'll cut an edge loop around. This way I can bring these vertices up. Again, cut an edge loop in. If you use Y, the Y key on your keyboard, you'll get to the last tool. And since the last tool I used was the insert edge loop tool, if I hit Y, that just gets me to that tool again, so I can cut loops in. So we're keeping real clean geometry. We have just four-sided polygon faces, which is good. That helps to cut in the edge loops more effectively, and you can actually tell how Maya is going to cut the edge loops and where they're going to go, because you've kept the four-sided faces, so you can only cut them vertically or horizontally. They're not going to go in some weird loop. Okay, I'm going to select the inner edges here, and then we'll do another extrude. So this would be kind of the bottom of the inner part of the mouth. Move this vertice out just so I know that it's not attached. We want to be careful again of intersecting geometry. So shape this in. I want to push this vertice kind of in a little bit because I know that it's going to loop around. So I'm going to select that edge and extrude it, and then bring that edge around and kind of line it up with the center line of the grid. So I kind of turn the direction of that edge so that when I do duplicate it for the other side, I can easily cut a loop around, holding the lip or inner part of the mouth around in a tighter way. So once again, I'll insert some edge loops over here. Begin to use rotate, scale, move the vertices just so I can kind of keep them a little bit more even and make sure again that the direction of the edges looks good, but also cutting in loops so that I can connect using the append tool. I'll be able to connect from one side to the other, keeping four-sided faces. So now that's the front of the nose area, or the front of the mouth. I'll go in and start shaping the vertices again, pushing and pulling a lot of vertices and cutting edge loops. Again, making sure that when you do grab the center line vertices that you are not moving them off of the center line axes. You want to keep the center line on the center so the duplication is easier. And again, I'm not going in just cutting in a whole bunch of edge loops. I'm taking my time and really looking at the shape and figuring out, how many loops do I actually need in order to define just the very basic kind of shape of this dragon head. Because again, a lot of this forming in detail will be done in other programs when I do the digital sculpting. Take a look around and make sure that things are looking all right. So I'm going to cut another loop just in here. Get rid of that inner face because I have to connect kind of the inner part of the head to the outer part, making a kind of closed wall. I'm going to go in and select this vertex here and just position it so I can close off this outer face. I'll use my append tool, go from one side to the other and hit enter. That way that closes that face. Now we'll go ahead I'm going to hit insert and position the pivot point to the center of the grid, hit insert to lock it in place, do my modify freeze transformation and edit delete by type history to clean it up, Control D to duplicate, and -1 in scale X to flip to the other side. So now with both of them selected, I will go into Mesh and Combine. I'm going to go into Poly Display and display the border edge so you can see a thicker edge. Select all the middle vertices and then go to Merge, and that will merge the middle vertices together so that'll create one piece of geometry. Now I can go in and grab these kind of two inner pieces and move them out a little bit to make this wall a little bit better in terms of how the geometry is flowing. I'm going to select the inner part by holding Shift and clicking all of these edges. Make sure I get all of them there. Sometimes I'll go into wireframe mode just to make sure I get all of them selected. Okay, now that I have them selected, we'll go into our extrude, and we're just going to extrude them in from the center. So I'm just going to scale them in a little bit, move them up a little bit. So this will be the upper portion of the mouth. Scale them out. Make sure they don't go through the front part or the outer part of the head. And now we have that all set up. We'll go and we'll use our pen tool. And I'm just clicking from one side to the other to close this off. And you can see we have a little triangle up at the top, but that's okay. We can deal with that later on. So we'll close that up there. I'm going to close across. So what I need to do is maybe cut some edge loops around here and it goes all the way around. So then I'll cut an edge loop right down the center. Make sure it's aligned right in the center. I want to make sure that the center vertices are actually closed, so I can select and just kind of move it, make sure there's no opening that occurs. Using your display and displaying border edges will work too. I'm just going to append to close down these two faces here. Select our edges around. I'm going to just delete that edge and just append right across from one side to the other. Grab the vertices on both sides and just use the move tool and kind of move them in a little bit. Position them. Take a look around and see. Currently we have everything closed. I'll probably rework that area a little bit. But for now we can take a look and see what it looks like smoothed. So some of these edges are going to have to be held a little bit tighter. Right, so I'm going to go in and just select some of the vertices and just kind of move them around so that they're in a better position, making the shape a little bit better that I want the low poly model to take on. So let's look at it in smooth mode here. We see that we have some areas that we have to tighten up still, but overall I think we're a little bit okay. I'm going to turn on the bottom jaw that we had created from before, and let's unreference it so we can go ahead in and select it and smooth it out just to take a look at how it's kind of fitting in there. Go into grab the vertices, low poly mode, and move the vertices around just so that they're fitting in the inside a little bit better. Again, we can just push and pull the vertices to shape it. Make sure that there's no intersecting geometry. So they're nice and straight. Grab the top. So we can grab all these vertices just kind of going right at the top part of the lip here. Scale them in so that it's straight, push it down. Okay, smooth them both out, so that's what we have so far. We need to hold, again, those edges around the lip a little bit better. So next we'll tighten things up and cut out the holes for the eyes. That should be the rest of our low poly geometry, and we'll be ready to import that into Mudbox or ZBrush.